Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Carried by the Breeze, a podcast dedicated to the voices of the future, where you'll get to be part of the most honest conversations about self-development, spirituality, and holistic health. We're here to provide the space for visionaries and entrepreneurs with a burning desire to make a positive impact on the world. Together, we will explore the power of bold ideas, innovation, and forward thinking. We'll dive into a remarkable journey of personal development and uncover the wisdom of our bodies and subconscious minds, all in order to create a life full of passion and purpose, where all your challenges are turned into adventures and countless opportunities. I'm your host, Cary Breeze, and as always, I welcome you to join our team of dreamers, shakers, and movers and share your insights on driving sustainable change, creating strong communities, and living a lasting legacy that inspires generations to come. Today on our podcast, we have Chris Meston, a transformation life purpose coach, who's here to shed light on how to eliminate the struggle of a broken heart. Let's dive in and shift some outdated prejudice about singlehood and life after breakups. Let's begin. All right. Welcome everybody to another episode of Carried by the Breeze. Today I have Chris Meston. Am I saying that right, Chris?
You nailed it. That's pretty impressive. Yes.
So you are a transformation life purpose coach.
That's correct.
All right. So what you do, from what I saw on your social media, is that you help singles awaken their purpose and build a life they can be proud of in just 60 days. So let's talk more about it. Introduce yourself. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Let's hear about you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, again, my name is Chris Meston, and I've recently embarked on the field of becoming a life coach. And I think you could probably agree, Carolina, is that when we decide to make this decision to help impacting others, it normally comes from a place of healing and transformation that we have occurred, that we have actually, experienced individually. And I've been sitting on this urge for quite some time, but I've decided to act on it within the last 6 to 8 months. I've been laying the groundwork. In terms of my history, right? I think we all have a story to tell in terms of what is leading us to this exact moment in time. But, for most of my working life, I've been in the people industry. So, in the fitness, health, and wellness industry. I really think I found a lot of true value and fulfillment, though, is when I was working one-on-one with clients as a personal trainer. All of my, jobs and careers throughout my life served a purpose, and I definitely enjoyed it. But I think the seed was planted once I segued out of that personal training chapter of my life. I realized there's something more to this, right? There's an impact that needs to be had, and it's often more than just losing some body fat percentage or gaining some muscle.
Yeah. Sure.
And so really everything that I've experienced has led me up to here. But yeah, I'm just a normal guy, I grew up in Ontario, moved out west when I was an adolescent, and throughout my life experiences, it really has brought me to this point where I really want to help make a difference in other people's lives.
That's awesome, Chris. That's awesome. I feel like there's this reawakening in the world where a lot of young people see the impact that they can be doing on the world and society, the society we live in. And it all starts with not just the need to change the world around us, but to change ourselves, to change our world, the world within us, so we can create that impact out there. So it all starts with the journey inward, which later impacts everybody else and inspires people to kind of follow the lead, because they see that you are more aligned, you show up better for yourself, you are attracting more abundance into your life, you're living in your truth and your desire and your purpose. So we're all talking about purpose, right? There's a lot of talk about reawaken your power, find your purpose. Let's talk a little about what is purpose. What is it that we're trying to get everybody to see? Why is it so important to live in our purpose?
Yeah, like that's a powerful question, Carolina. And I think that deep inside, every person has a yearning to want to fulfill their own purpose and create their own legacy. A lot of people really tend to coast through life and go through certain jobs where they're not really feeling a sense of fulfillment. And I think the purpose that everyone can really aim for or really discover is really to kind of understand what their natural desires and passions are and what really lights them up in terms of making a difference in the world. And I really think this whole topic of purpose, a lot of people think it's some magical destination that they really got to search far and wide to find. But I truly believe that deep inside each and every one of us, we know internally what that purpose is. But with the coaching industry, the great thing is that we can provide that mirror and we can help provide a different perspective and a different alternative way to allow people to look within and to really capture that purpose. And so, like to kind of backtrack, you asked me what I do. So like, I really want to focus on reaching the single demographic because I find that people who are journeying through singlehood, whether it's suffering from a breakup, a divorce, or just going through an experienced lengthy season of being single, I think that is when a lot of people really look within and really want to find out what that purpose is. And so, all of us have a unique life story as to what kind of impact we want to have, especially as coaches. It's our pain and it's our own journey and the things that we were able to overcome that allows us to help others. And I definitely think that there's a huge opportunity for people who are experiencing singlehood or the pain of and the heartbreak aspects of being single to really look within and to find that purpose. But to answer your question, I think purpose is something that every person yearns for. And I think every person's capable of finding it. It just requires the work and it requires the effort. And I think you know that very well as well, based on this recent journey that we both had of
For
switching,
sure.
Transitions.
Throughout my own journey, I've been trying to ask myself, like, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? And, we end up always looking at other people. What are they doing? What is their calling? How do I find my own purpose through comparing my own journey to others? But by the end of it, I feel like purpose comes to the way you want to be living your life. Like, how do you want to live your life? And I feel that my journey really started when I got the opportunity. I call it an opportunity now, although back then it seemed like a big, big tragedy in my life. But I found my purpose through my divorce when I, putting in brackets, finally became single.
Mm-hmm.
Because earlier in life, I felt that I am not enough as my own, that I need other people around me to constantly fill me up in order to feel that I'm in my purpose. But it all started with me just looking inside of myself and getting to know myself better, kind of working on my own foundations as a person so I can start showing up in the world differently, actually living in my purpose. So yeah, being single, it teaches you a lot, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And you struck on something that I think that is really important, especially for your audience, is that we often run into our purpose kind of almost by accident, or we really begin to know ourselves and to realize deeper aspects and dimensions of who we are. And it's normally through suffering and it's normally through unpleasant times during our life that we experience the most transformation, right?
Yes,
And I
sure.
can totally relate because someone who is, divorced as well, that was obviously it can be very traumatic and it can be a very life-changing experience. But at the same time as well, if used wisely and if you have the opportunity to use that circumstance to really do that inner work and to really realize a lot more about yourself and what you're looking for, it can be very powerful. I wish I can grow without experiencing the pain and the struggle, but it always goes hand in hand. We have to allow others to realize that that discomfort and the struggle and the pain that they're going to be feeling with, it just needs to be acknowledged. And it's not fun when we go through it, but we need to ensure that we are reminding them that these are just seasons, right? And they're exactly that. They're seasons. They're not going to stick around forever. You got to be willing to, to look in the mirror, and you got to be willing to acknowledge and to have that self-awareness to understand what you went through. And I think a key component, especially in this area of coaching and life coaching, and in the area of helping those experiencing newfound singleness in our situation after our divorce, I think it's really important to look at the circumstance that we find ourselves in and to reframe and to adopt a different viewpoint and a different perspective towards the season and the circumstances that we find ourselves in. Because a lot of people can wallow in self-pity, and a lot of people can really just think of the get into that mentality of woe is me, and how are things gonna change when I'm at my lowest point. And I think that if we adopt and if we flip the script and we look at this opportunity as, you know what, I may be in this really tough situation right now, but I have an opportunity while I'm in that figurative rock bottom. I have an opportunity to lay down a new foundation and to start from scratch and to build a new perspective and a new reality and a new outlook on my circumstance to start changing it. I think the first thing we all need to do is we need to take full responsibility, and we need to take full ownership of the circumstance and the situation that we're in.
Yes, for sure. Stop
I'm sure you
blaming
can relate.
others for where we're at. And it's so easy to get into that pattern, you find yourself alone after a divorce or a breakup, and it's so easy to circle down into just blaming everybody else, your spouse, your parents, the government, for all I care. It's a choice you make to go upwards, to rise from that, to think maybe it's not such a tragedy that I'm left alone. Maybe it is an opportunity, because right now I don't have anybody to please. I don't need to compare myself to anyone. It's a clean slate. It's a choice if I want to dig myself even deeper, or I could start climbing up and find the strength within me to reach for the light. I always tell my clients, like, imagine yourself as the seed in the ground. Like, this darkness that you feel around you, this is your opportunity to grow up, to break through the mud, the soil, whatever is covering you up, and just grow from that and discover your new colors, your strength, what feeds you, what nourishes you, what makes you grow. Who are you above that surface? This is your chance to rediscover yourself. And something that you said before about um just facing all of the darkness alone, it could be very, very scary. I was literally feeling like I was dying. I am here and I'm dying. How the hell am I supposed to find the strength to climb up? Like, who's got the map? Who's got the answers for me? Um, and this was the time when I started reaching out to a lot of coaches, trying to find inspiration on YouTube, reading a lot of books, doing self-development, kind of grabbing into anything and everything that was offered to me that promised me some kind of growth. And I feel like all of the things that were keeping me down is just my own head, my own thinking patterns that were blaming me for where I found myself. So I didn't just take responsibility. I started blaming myself. I started feeling like I got myself here. Like, what the fuck? I'm supposed to be smarter than this. I'm supposed to be wiser. And this is also a thought process that is dangerous to our growth, because growth is, from what I know now, is integrating all those parts, all the bad parts inside of us, all the mistakes we've done, all the bad shitty parts of us that we push away from ourselves, because everybody tells us if you do this or that, you're bad. No, you're just a person. Accept yourself for your mistakes, for everything that led you here to this pit bottom. Stop with the blame game. Okay, just accept
Mhm.
that this happened, make peace with it, and start growing.
For sure. I couldn't agree more. And you're right. There can be that polarity, right? Where we can put too much blame on the other person, where at one point in our life, it could have been our ex, right? Or your husband or my wife at the time. And then we can almost take too much self-blame on ourselves and think to ourselves, oh man, like how could I have,
Yes.
put myself and led me into this situation? And I think you articulated something really important. It's this integration, and it's ultimately taking personal responsibility and ownership of where you are, but at the same time, giving yourself grace and realizing that, I'm a work in progress and I will continue to be so until the day I die, because there are no perfect individuals. And where this, discussion of self-growth and self-development comes in is, I think, just learning to understand and recognize those areas of our life that we're still struggling with that, and balancing it on a more effective way and a more effective level. And I think that's so important.
Let's go back to when you find yourself alone, right?
Mhm.
This is something I struggled a lot with because I felt so lonely when I didn't have my community, my friends, my family, my partner, such a different space to be in. So, what do
Mhm.
you have to say about loneliness and solitude? The difference
Sure.
between them?
So from my personal experience, I found that when it came to loneliness, sometimes the pain that we find ourselves in, sometimes loneliness itself, we can almost become kind of attached to it. It's kind of like the Stockholm syndrome, where we almost kind of use that sometimes as a crutch, um, for an excuse to stay where we are. And I have been guilty of this in the past, because I have experienced loneliness. I remember moving out to Ontario from BC in my early 20s, and going to a new environment and going to a new job and spending a lot of hours at home, for the first time after leaving home. Loneliness can really wrap you up, and it can almost keep you there if you allow it. And so how I've been able to combat that through lots of failure and through experiencing the negative effects of being too lonely is, I had to almost force myself and put myself in environments that alleviated and that went against the narrative of me wanting to stay in that lonely place. So whether it was, getting a new hobby, whether it was joining a faith-based community locally, whether it was being intentional on creating conversation and being around an environment where you can have connections and you can start to,
Yes.
really be around people. It takes intentionality. So to combat loneliness, I would really recommend people to get out of their comfort zone, and to put themselves in new environments and new situations where they can have the opportunity to build connection, and where they can allow themselves to be vulnerable, because the vulnerability aspect's always going to go hand in hand when you're looking to get out of that lonely state. And so, yeah, and I know a lot of people are struggling with loneliness, Carolina. It's an epidemic. I think we mentioned that previously,
Oh,
in the
yes.
last week. And the longer that you stay in there, the tougher it can almost be to get out of that. And so
We need people around us for sure.
we do. And you know what? Like, we need to be intentional on getting out and making those connections, right? They're not going to come to us. They really aren't. We need to put ourselves out there, and we need to be willing to be uncomfortable, and we need to be willing to take those actions. Now, on the side of solitude, like you mentioned, that can be a lot different than loneliness, because with solitude, what you're doing is you're taking intentional time while you're in that alone state to reflect and to analyze your past and your present, in a way that you can learn from, and in a way that you can have those takeaway lessons and those insights of how you can move forward. And so
Yes.
solitude can, be in a number of different ways and different modalities to make the most of it. For me, I find where I am able to maximize my solitude and to grow the most is when I am out in nature and when I am out on a trail or by water, and I'm having the opportunity to be still and to really reflect on what is it that Chris wants out of life, and what is it that I want, in this next short-term season of my life. And solitude can be very, beneficial for us, but it all starts with the mind, right?
Yeah.
I've had days at home on a day off where when my head hits the pillow, I think to myself, man, Chris, you did not utilize the time that you had today to your advantage. You were too
Hmm.
caught up in a self-pity mindset, thinking about why am I in the situation I'm in right now? I should be with somebody, or why am I not happy? And I've had days where my head has hit the pillow and I thought to myself, man, like today was a great day because I had a chance to really do a lot of deep thinking. I had a chance to really look at my circumstances and what lies before me. And I'm feeling really good about this upcoming week and this upcoming season in my life. And so
Yes.
it's that fine line between solitude and loneliness. And it really comes down to the half glass full analogy, right? Am I going to look at my
Yes.
circumstances in lack, or am I going to say, hey, you know what? This is a lot better than this glass being completely empty.
Oh,
So
for sure.
super important.
I feel like we're talking here about reframing our struggles and obstacles as opportunities, right? To build resilience. So it is what we're doing. We're reframing loneliness into opportunity. We're reframing tragedy and pit bottom into an opportunity. So it's all a matter of how you look at it, if the glass is half empty or half full. But the the starting point is to see, where am I standing? What is beneath my feet? Am I still breathing? Awesome. This is an opportunity to take a step forward, or, climb up from where I'm at, because now I'm no longer looking at the place that I stand in, or look at myself as an incapable person, as somebody who's lacking. I just accept myself, I accept the situation, I accept where I am, and this is my opportunity to keep going.
Yeah, 100%. And this exact mentality also applies to ourselves on a daily basis, because throughout my life, and even with a lot of my very good friends and people over social media and with my clients, is we often get caught up in the daily trap of becoming victims to the small things on a daily basis that can really bring us down, that can catch us
Yeah.
off of our game, off of our flow. And sooner or later it becomes a snowball effect where if we're having not the greatest morning, that's going to turn into, not the greatest afternoon. And then
Oh,
before,
for
and then
sure.
before you know it, you're having this mentality of like, man, like I had a really rough day, but we need to take ownership and we need to constantly be reframing and looking at these struggles that we have on a daily basis, because a lot of people, they can really get shipwrecked really quickly. And so
Been there.
it's easy to say. It's easy to say in theory that all we need to do is reframe those opportunities, but it takes a lot of intentional, vulnerable, actions and mindsets to do,
Oh
and
yeah,
it
it's
requires
work.
humility.
A lot of what we're talking about, it leads to just prioritizing ourselves in that moment where we struggle, and just realizing that we are what we got. If I choose right now to crumble down under any circumstances, whatever that can be, if it's a small moment in my life, something didn't work according to plan, or it's a big, big tragedy, how can I still show up in my power? How can I be the best version of myself? And it all starts with just realizing that you're worthy of being in your power. And to understand that you're worthy, you need to start prioritizing yourself, body and mind. So let's talk a
Sure.
little about that, prioritizing ourselves. It's a tough task.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when it comes to, prioritizing ourselves, the aspect of body and mind is so, so important. And I know in this big industry of coaches, there's lots of coaches that will have specific niches. And I tap my hat off to the coaches who are in the health and wellness and focused, whether it's on nutrition or whether it's focused on fitness, because they're providing a very valuable service. But I think with every coaching program, especially for you and I, we can really promote and we can really encourage our clients to prioritize and to make small steps, but powerful steps towards allowing them to walk into new areas of growth, feeling a lot more empowered because body and mind works hand in hand with our personal growth journey. The moment that you start making those intentional steps of eating healthier or getting active and taking care of your body, the the growth journey just is exponential, because then you start to really feel it. You feel it physically, you feel it spiritually, and you're able to just continue on this momentum of self-discovery and personal growth. And so when it comes to my experience, Carolina, I, you know, when I was younger, I had a very complacent and I had a very, just a very inactive and a very much different attitude about my body from where I am right now in my mind. I remember, right up until 11, 12 years old, I was a couch potato. I was on the couch. I was inactive. I was shy. I was socially underdeveloped. And I remember, enrolling in hockey at a very young age, because I knew that I couldn't continue to be in the place there that I was. I was feeling the pressure at that age of not being like the other kids. I was feeling low self-esteem. I was feeling low confidence, and I just wasn't happy with where I was at physically. And getting into hockey was a big ignition for me, because although my first practice, I should have just hung up the skates and left. It was embarrassing. I remember getting on the ice and my skate guards were on. My equipment was in the entire wrong place. All the people, I thought the most of the players on the ice were looking at me and laughing, because they were thinking, "What is this guy doing? I
Who
hope he's
is this guy?
I hope he's not on my team." But I had to put myself in that uncomfortable and vulnerable place in order for me to grow. And that first practice during Pee Wee tryouts was the most brutal, sweat-packed experience, physically straining, that I've ever had at that point leading up in my life. But I stuck with it, and I showed up to the next practice and the next one, and I joined a team. And for the first couple of years, I experienced so much growth and transformation, because the moment that I started to believe in myself and I started to change the physiology of my body and the way I was thinking about myself, that had a domino effect, and it was able to ripple into improved grades at school, into
Yes.
better improved social connections and healthier friendships. And that domino effect after Pee Wee hockey, I remember going into middle school and I tried out for the high school basketball team and I ended up making it. And I made the better team. It was actually, there's an A and a B team. And and I got accepted on the A team because of my determination and my effort. It wasn't my talent per se, but it was my determination. And so that decision though, to get out of my comfort zone and my complacency to get involved in sports was literally a game changer, because that allowed me to get into personal fitness through high school, not only basketball, but to football. And that passion for physical fitness and health development allowed me to get into the fitness environment. And so for me, taking care of your body and mind is so important, because that literally changed the trajectory of how my life has turned out.
Yes.
And it took an intentional decision to try something that didn't come naturally to me, that was completely out of my comfort zone, but It can literally change your reality. And so you don't need to love working out, and you don't need to have a career in the fitness industry to allow investing in your body and your mind, in this case, personal fitness, because I've seen it with so many clients in the past where the moment they started prioritizing themselves and to just get active and really take care of their body and nutrition, it totally brought them into a new level, into a new dimension of their personal growth journey. And so I'm really passionate about that, even though I'm not working full time or even as a health life coach. I will advocate and I will encourage every client to take small steps, right? And it doesn't need to be big. It's such an intimidating environment, the personal health and fitness industry. Start with getting out for a walk every day, right?
Yeah, start choosing yourself once a day. Like it's literally enough to open doors for so many opportunities where you see, okay, I could better myself in some other aspects in my life. But just this initial choice of choosing myself right now, if it's by going to training, making myself a good meal that will actually nourish me, you know? I just feel like prioritizing ourselves and choosing ourselves, it's such a taboo. It's literally frowned upon, especially if you're a woman and you're a mother. Like, come on, you cannot like think about choosing yourself over everybody else, right? I just feel like it's somehow unacceptable. It's at places, and it's considered selfish. Like, how come that we live in a world where our personal transformation, our will to just be better for ourselves, which later translates onto everything else around us, our relationships, our job, everything else is just being unaccepted, you know, and frowned upon as selfish, because people, they don't see the bigger picture, right?
Full ownership and prioritization of your personal health and fitness. That is a good type of selfishness, because what you're doing is you're telling yourself and you're also telling other people that in order for me to be optimal and for me to be the best version of myself and to live a long life and to think clearly and to optimize myself, I need to be selfish, because that's going to allow me to be better in my family and friend relationships. That will allow me to be more effective
Yes.
for my future partner, to be better for my job, and to show up as my most authentic self. So it's super important to prioritize yourself in this area of health and fitness. And I would encourage anyone who's battling with that selfishness, maybe you're getting some hate on from some friends or family as to why you're choosing to go to the gym instead of going out with the girls or the guys at nighttime for a couple drinks. Or, you know, you may want to, or if you politely decline that drink at a social get together because you're really wanting to take care of your body, right? That's an okay type of selfishness. And you may be having a hard time accepting that because all you're hearing from others is that, oh, you're no fun, or you're just a prude, or why don't you just live a little? I'm here to tell you guys, continue on that journey you're on right now. It's you're taking ownership of yourself, and there's nothing to be frowned upon with that. Trust me. Now, regarding you know, my particular divorce, just being a little vulnerable with you, you know, my ex-wife, or my wife at the time, was the one that decided to actually you know, call it off. And so after some reflection and some inner work and some healing, you know, I have to ultimately forgive, but I also need to look at the lens of my ex-wife and realize that she had to make the decision she did. And in retrospect, now that it's done, she, with her own reality and with her own circumstances, she needed to be selfish in her own right to make her decisions. And while we may not always agree, or while we always may look back on previous circumstances with whether it's a divorce or whether it's with a friend that we have fallen apart, only they know why they made that decision. But ultimately, if we're allowing ourselves to prioritize ourselves with the intention of becoming a better human being and with the intention of trying to grow and to really just leave a personal better legacy for ourselves and to leave the world better off with the people that we've experienced life with, then that's an okay thing to be selfish with. Now, what I can tell you is I did experience some selfishness after my divorce when it came to saying no to opening up and to immediately engaging in, regular relationship activity with others. And
Mhm.
some people might look at that as isolating yourself and not being willing to get the help that you need. But I knew I needed a season after my divorce to really look after my own mental health needs and to keep my social circle and this immediate circle around me. I needed to narrow it and I needed to look after myself. And while other people may have perceived that as being selfish in the wrong context, for me, I needed to prioritize and I needed to look after the things that I needed to do in order for me to heal. And so not everyone's always going to agree with it. Not everyone's always going to understand it, but it is essential. Whether you have just broken up with somebody, whether you've been dumped or whether you did the dumping, you need to take that time and you need to
Respect the
prioritize
space
yourself.
that was created.
100%.
Yes. So I feel like in that space, like we said, it's a great opportunity to develop some healthy habits as well. Start choosing yourself, prioritizing yourself, your growth, mental growth, your physical body. Um, it's those little things that allow us to actually build the discipline that we need in order to transform into a better person. And I feel like I got a lot of help with, first of all, breath work. I talk all about breath work in my personal channel, but also um, changing my attitude. We've been talking about, feeling awake and winning, attitude of gratitude. I know it's kind of tough finding yourself in that kind of position and still finding the things that you're grateful for. But let's talk a little bit about it. Like, where should you start looking and how to wake yourself up in that kind of mentality?
For sure. I think like on a daily basis, especially with the topic of discipline, um, discipline is doing the habits and the activities that you know is good for you, but you may not always be feeling it mentally or emotionally, and even from a desired standpoint. And so the great thing about discipline, though, is discipline and consistency go hand in hand. So,
Yes.
you need to be investing in those daily habits that you know are going to improve your life and your mentality and your spirit overall. And so I would just encourage anyone who may be struggling with that to, first of all, what you need to do is you need to schedule out your week in advance and you need to hold yourself accountable. And this is where a coach really comes in handy. And that's the power
Yes.
of having a coach, is that you are being held accountable to those daily disciplines. Now, those habits can vary for everyone, but I think we touched on the importance of taking care of your body and your mind. So really, it's just holding yourself accountable each day to engaging in those habits, whether it's getting out for a walk, whether it's getting that breath work done, like you talked about, meditation, prioritizing yourself first thing in the morning. For me, I found a lot of success in terms of getting things done early in the day. So, you got to discipline yourself to set that alarm clock maybe 45 minutes to an hour before when you normally wake up. And you need to discipline yourself to set the tone for the day, whether it's meditation, whether it's in prayer, whether it's getting to the gym before your work environment. You need to put in those daily habits. But the great thing about discipline and habits is the more consistent that you are in engaging with them, the more rewards and the more momentum that you're actually going to feel. And you're going to actually start developing that habit. And the great thing about habits is once you've actually developed that habits, 40% of them are actually done on autopilot. They're already
Yep.
embedded in our subconscious. So we're not even having to think about doing them because they're just part of our daily life and we start to reap the benefits. So for other people, establishing habits could be, self-development and self-growth, whether it's reading, whether it's investing in online courses, whether it's investing in a coach, wink, wink, right? It, it's you need to I think you need to absolutely develop in some component of your personal self-growth. And there are so many avenues as to how you can do that. But taking care of your body and your mind, whether it's physical fitness, whether it's breath work, meditation, prayer, whatever it is, when you prioritize that along with your personal fitness and your self-growth, that's when things really start to change. And that's when you start to awaken, right? Once you start to develop these habits and once you start to shape a new reality for yourself, that's also when the awakening starts. And this term awakening, it's getting thrown around so much, but I do like it because I think humanity is experiencing this collective awakening, whether it's
Yes.
the reality of how this world is being run, right down to the personal reality of how our toxic thought patterns and behaviors have been holding us back. Whenever we start to adopt these new perspectives and to reframe our circumstances and the way we find ourselves in, we're going to experience awakening no matter what. And when awakening happens, that's when your reality starts to shift. And that's when you really start to understand that, hey, you know what? I've been asleep and I've been operating from a certain perspective and a mindset
Yes.
that has held me back for so long. And so the awakening process, I think it's continuous. I know that you and I are both on the same page when it comes to this topic, but it's got so many different facets to it.
Oh, for sure. I feel like a lot of people, when they stand in that of awakening, two things could happen. Either you, like we said before, either you stand there and you say, well, I'm the product of my life circumstances. Life has made me this way, like in all my beauty or my shittiness, like this is who I
Mhm.
am. But you could realize that everything that's been holding you back, all your emotions, traumas, your limiting beliefs, your programming, um, once you see all of that, you can choose to take everything you've got so far and to reprogram it, reshape it, start moving in a different direction, saying, I'm no longer a victim to my life circumstances. I'm just going to take the cards that I've been dealt with and I'm going to play them differently because I still have myself. I still woke up breathing, awake and winning, and I'm choosing to win today. I'm choosing to take myself on a different path. I'm choosing to change my emotion, to transform my trauma into my strength, into something that pushes me forward. I choose to inspire and be inspired. I choose to take all of my limiting beliefs and my set of values and reshape them because who told you you cannot do that?
We 100% do. And I think that is so powerful. And I really want every person that's listening to understand that, right? Because a lot of people are stuck in that fixed mindset. They're constantly thinking that their abilities and their talents and everything that they think that they're capable of, they think it's a fixed state, that they're not capable of achieving what other people are achieving.
Yes.
And it's that attitude and it's that mindset that really holds them back. If I would have stuck in my fixed mindset of being that shy boy who didn't have a good self-image, that stuttered, that really didn't have think I had the ability to connect well with others, I wouldn't be in the situation where I'm in right now. Even
Yeah.
if I was to look back a year from now thinking that I would be able to embark on this coaching journey and to launch my own podcast, if I would have been stuck in that own fixed mindset, I would have missed out on a whole world of opportunity to connect with great people like yourself and these other fellow coaches that I'm journeying with. And you know what? The cool thing is, well, it's not really cool. It is cool at the same time, is that I still sometimes catch myself sometimes in fixed mindsets. And I constantly need to be challenging myself and to be reframing some of these circumstances that I'm in because I know that I'm still a lot more capable than I like to think I am sometimes, And
Yes.
so it's just a continuous journey, and I'm sure you can absolutely relate. I'm curious, Carolina, like in your past, can you provide any examples where you have been in that fixed mindset and then you made that decision to challenge that? And what type of expectations did you blow out of the water that you could share with your audience?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've been stuck in this mindset that I didn't want to express myself to the world because I was so scared of being judged, of what people may think of me. I was stuck in the imposter syndrome for too long, caring too much for what everybody has to say about me. What will people from home say, seeing me express myself, live in my true color. So it was really challenging for me to break through that barrier. I actually had to move to a whole new country to feel comfortable where I stand, to start expressing myself, to start living in my own truth, my own purpose, my power. I feel like it also cost me my relationship with my ex-husband, where I literally started, putting myself first, saying that this is my truth and this is what I'm following, this is who I am, this is what I want to show to the world. These are my colors, the painting that you see here. Um, and I started realizing that I'm spending so much time, I'm putting so much energy into pleasing others and
Mhm.
into hiding myself, because it was just comfortable to be accepted by everybody while I played this particular role. If it was to be the best wife or a good daughter or a good sister,
Mhm.
and later in life, I just realized that life is so short. It's too short to be spending that on not being happy with myself, with who I am. And all these fears, they played only one role. They protected me. They protected
Mhm.
me from my next evolution, from the unknown, right? And we're talking about this a lot in our practice of the importance and the necessity of going into your fear. And my entire life, I've spent running away, Chris. I've been running away
Mhm.
from my family. I've been running away from relationship. I ran away from my country, my government, everybody, and everything I knew in my life without even
Mhm.
knowing where is it that I'm headed, which was the big, big trouble in my big, elaborate plan. If you don't know where you're headed, you just keep on running and keep on running. And it was this moment that changed my life, where I realized that fear is there to teach me something, to show me something about myself. If I keep turning my back to it and running away from it, I will never learn the lesson. So, this was when I turned back and looked at my fear in the eye. What is it, you big fucking
Yeah.
monster that you're trying to tell me, scaring me all the time? And this is where I started to see myself, to realize who I am, to really integrate my shadow, accept myself, realize that who said I need to be perfect? Who even gave me the tools to be perfect? Nothing is perfect. Nobody is perfect. Nature, the world that we live in, it's all a big circle. It has everything. It has beauty, it has ugliness. Like, just accept it. Accept it. Live in peace with it, and just
Yes.
see where you could better yourself, where you could grow from your fear. How's your fear serving you? So that was a big, big moment for me, when I literally started looking my fear in the eye and learning about what it had to say about me. So I'm no longer running from anything, not from people in my life, not from myself. I'm just standing where I am, and I'm owning the ground underneath my feet with all
Yes.
my power, because I realized that I don't need to be anything other than myself. And my choice to be better is because I love myself. I love my environment. I love the fact that I get to wake up every day, wake up,
Mhm.
still breathing. I have this body that literally takes me on this big adventure. Like, it's worth investing it's worth investing in myself and my body and my mind, in this beautiful journey that I'm on. So
Absolutely. Facing our fears, once we like you and you articulated that really well, once we're able to face our fears, we often find that it's almost like the Oz behind the curtain, right? We think that our fears are just some massive thing that is going to prevent us from moving forward. And then once we genuinely make that important but difficult step to face our fears, we realize, oh man, you know what? Me overcoming that, it really wasn't as huge or as monumental as I imagined it to be. And
for
yes, it was
sure.
difficult. Yes, it was difficult to face that and to overcome it. But man, I could have overcame that so long ago if I would have had that,
Yes.
if I would have
I
had the
get
guts to face it.
if I
And
gave myself
so,
the opportunity, yes.
yeah,
And
for sure.
the funny thing about it is once you start, you break through one fear and you realize, huh, I'm still alive. Look at that. Nothing terrible happened, or something changed, and I love the change because now I get to experience life or myself differently through that choice. But
Yes.
you break through one fear and the second one doesn't seem as scary and the third one doesn't seem as scary, and you learn to love the journey that is unfolding in front of you, where at the beginning of it you were looking forward and you were saying, oh my god, how am I going to deal with all of that? Just start walking, just start. And this is something I own to my ex. He said
Mhm.
one very simple thing: start before you are ready. Start before you're ready. Don't wait for that perfect time to start your journey. Don't wait for the perfect tool, the perfect coach, course, the pair of shoes you need to be walking. Just start walking. It will
Yes.
unfold in the way because the energy you put into that, um, the decision that you put into that, the everything will just, what I'm trying to say is that you will attract the solutions along the way. You will attract the people that will be there to show you that keep walking, keep walking, you're doing great. You will attract the life opportunities you were waiting for, but all of that won't happen if you don't make the choice. Start
A-
walking, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Fear and confidence, I think, are so connected. And a lot of people want confidence, but a lot of people are not willing to face their fears or get scared a little bit. And I heard this, this saying, I don't know if I'm quoting it correctly, but you're not going to increase your confidence per se by shouting affirmations all the time in the mirror. You're going to get confident by continuously facing your fears and then like having these confirmations daily that you say what you are by putting in the actions to actually face those fears.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I can definitely look back throughout my life and realize that my greatest growths of personal growth of confidence and assurance of what I'm capable of were intrinsically intertwined with having to face my fears. I remember taking a job going door to door selling, in my early 20s. And my mom was thinking, what the heck are you doing, Chris? Like, this is my boy who was naturally very shy and introverted. And here you are, hopping on a Greyhound bus to Alberta to join a traveling sales crew where you're going to be knocking on doors for a living. Is this surely what you want to do? But and I was scared. Like I remember the first day I got out there on my own, and I remember just my knees shaking. I remember my voice trembling as I was getting out my first sales pitch. And I had to face my fears. But I look back on that season of my life doing door-to-door sales, and I look at it as a huge growth opportunity and a growth chapter in my life because I was able to develop the people skills and I was able to develop key essential communications and sales skills
Beautiful.
that that really have led me into this exact place I am right now, right? Getting in front of a camera, coaching, obviously in the area of life coaching, we're selling ourselves. And we're selling something that is just so amazing, and that's personal transformation, which, in my biased opinion, is the best thing anyone could invest in, right?
For
And
sure.
but it required me to really face my fears. And I just want to encourage anyone, right? If you think that you don't want to venture into a certain area of your life because you think that it just doesn't come naturally to you and it's not who you are, take it from me. All these things that have defined me of who I am did not come naturally to me. I had to like
Yes.
get out and I needed to get uncomfortable and I needed to, against the very advice of my parents and my friends, as to Chris, why are you doing this? This isn't who you are. But like, look where it's gotten me. And you know what? This is intrinsically tied into our purpose as well, right? You never know what other side of your purpose is going to lie. And it may be on the side of the thing that you've been avoiding or that you've just been not wanting
Yes.
to go into. And so that's just a really interesting thing about purpose and destiny is it often goes against the very odds of what we think would be fundamental common sense, right? But that's just the beautiful thing about life.
For sure. So let's tie it back into what is it that you do and offer as a coach? Because we've been talking about getting out of your comfort zone and the importance of investing in yourself, especially if you find yourself in a circumstances where use what you got. You just
Mhm.
experienced this breakup, this challenge. You found yourself alone and you're all lost about what is it that I need to do? What kind of life change I need to go through in order to make myself happier, stronger, show up for myself and for the people I love better so I don't experience this heartbreak again, or I'm going to be more ready for the next time that life throws lemons. I'll be there waiting with the lemonade machine. So
Yeah.
um it all comes down to getting to know ourselves better, taking accountability over the place we're currently stand at, and looking forward. What is it that we want to unfold in our lives? Where is it that we want to go? What is it that we want to do? How is it that we want to experience this lifetime? And we've been talking about going into your own fears, realizing your sets of beliefs and the things that hold you down, your values, your trauma, whatever is holding you back in order to make that step forward. I feel
Mhm.
like we as coaches, we I see a lot of coaches out there selling themselves, selling their services. I feel like we're in that kind of field where we don't even have to do that, because people who are craving change, who
Mhm.
reach that point in their life where they say no longer, like, I'm done, I'm ready for a change, they will naturally find us. They will find Chris, they will find Carolina, they will find whatever and whoever they're looking for, and they
Mhm.
will start before they are ready. And we as coaches, we will help you to be ready to embark on that journey, so you're not as alone, you're not as scared, you're not as lost, and you don't need to, do everything and anything like I did when I
Mhm.
found myself in that situation. So let's talk about what is it that you offer as a coach? What's the process of working with you? How would you help a customer to rise in confidence into their new selves?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I really want to target and I want to work with people who either have been recently divorced or have been divorced for a long time. I want to really target and reach people who have been experiencing, whether it's short-term seasons or extended seasons of singlehood. And they really feel that they're not sure what their next step may be and what their purpose and really what they want out of life. And so throughout my life experiences, and like you mentioned earlier, we have sometimes learned the hard way, and we have learned lots of lessons about
Yes.
ourselves and working with coaches ourselves. And we are using our own life experiences, and we're able to cut through the noise and through the mistakes that we have made. And we're able to provide a journey. So, what I do is I'm going to be taking, and I've been taking my clients through a 60-day journey where we have the opportunity to get really clear on what they're looking for out of life. And we really go through a very clear goal setting process. And if you're at that point right now where you're not really sure what you want, or if you're not really sure what your purpose is, we do spend a decent amount of time discovering and unpacking the things that you're passionate about. So it's really a journey of self-discovery where we get real clarity over what our goals are, what our passions, what our personality, and really we get clear on what we really want to strive towards if we really don't have that clarity of our purpose initially. And so we go over the 60-day journey of discovering, and really focusing on personal habits, taking care of the body and the mind. Really, a big portion of that also is focusing on mindset and learning how to reframe these circumstances and the areas of our life that have been holding us back.
Yes.
And then we also focus on commitment to growth through a variety of different modules through the online course that I am almost complete, and I have it almost set up. So really, it's a journey where we take them from where they are right now. We get clear on where they want to get to, and then we run over a number of different pillars, which are going to include obviously their passions, their personalities. We go over mindset. We're going to be going over, obviously, body and mind, prioritizing, and then really focusing on the actions and the steps that we need to take in order for us to walk into a new level of purpose and into a fresh reality. So it really is a journey, and that's what I'm looking forward to taking people on.
That's amazing, Chris. Thank you so much. First of all, for living in your purpose, for, being a beacon of light for so many who are looking for this kind of guidance. I feel like the world is definitely awakening to the importance of walking this path, of self-betterment, self-development. And the minimum that it's going to give you, this kind of journey, is, first of all, it's going to make you a happier, calmer person. You will find your peace by finding yourself, because you will find alignment everywhere. You will find the inner power that will take you one step further through any challenge, through any obstacle. And life wouldn't seem like a big tragedy. It won't seem like a challenge to you, because the mindset you're going to have about life in general, it's not how hard it is, but what an adventure it is. And this adventure has dark caves and dragons and monsters and fear and loss and breakups, but it also has growth, opportunity, community, love, adventure. It has so much color and so much beauty, and we're here for that. We're here to show you how it's done so you can show up better for you and for everybody around you. So, Chris, thank you so much.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Carolina, and thank you very much for inviting me. This is my first guest podcast appearance ever, so I'm very honored that you decided to choose me. And for those of the audience, if you would like to follow along and follow me, you can definitely reach me on Instagram. My handle is ITS, Chris, CHRIS, Meston, M as in Mary, ESTON. And I'd love to connect with you and just to help encourage and inspire you in the future.
Yes, I will definitely share Chris's links on the post. So go give him a follow. He has some great content for you guys. He's a great inspiration for me. I'm sure that he will inspire you as well to live better, stronger, and more aligned with yourself. So go check it out. Chris, thank you once again for just being who you are, for shining your light and being in your power. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolina.
This was a great episode. I enjoyed it a lot. So see you all on the next one. And yeah, follow all the links. You'll find anything you need right there. Bye.